Hello, and welcome to our new video. Today we want to show you our Chaos Spectral Shield Throw build. Spectral Shield Throw was the first shield-related skill introduced to Path of Exile and remains as most popular skill in this archetype. It throws a spectral copy of your shield that splits into many smaller projectiles upon impact, and deals damage based on the defenses of thrown shield. Newly buffed Unique Shield. Emperor's Vigilance makes a perfect match for this skill due to its very high armor and energy shield values. Thanks to this, the entry costs of this build are much lower as crafting similar shield in the past was very difficult. To further boost our damage, we gain over 100% of the physical damage as extra chaos damage. This type of damage is particularly strong because it cannot be reflected, and monsters tend to have lower chaos resistance values compared to elemental counterparts. Pathfinder Ascendancy is an amazing choice for this build as it excels at two things: chaos attacks and flasks. The high uptime and effectiveness of your flasks make this build very smooth to play. You can even play without life flask as you will be healed every time you use any flask. It will also remove any bleeding or corrupting blood effect. We use Spectral Shield Throw as our primary source of damage. With this build, we have a lot of chaos damage, but we don't use it to poison enemies. Instead, we focus on big hits with our shield. Unfortunately, the right side of the passive tree doesn't provide many bonuses to maximum life. For that reason, this build focuses heavily on avoiding damage by utilizing a very high evasion rating paired with complete spell suppression and a high chance to block spells and attacks. Thanks to explosions and many chaining projectiles, this build has very good clear speed potential. The single target is also very strong. By using the Tornado and Wither you will be able to melt bosses insanely quickly. Thanks to the mentioned unique shield, this build can be started on a very low budget and scales very well with every new upgrade you make. There are only 4 mandatory unique to play this build and all of them are pretty cheap. Due to their random nature, Watch Your Eye and Lethal Pride can be very expensive, so try to get them according to your budget. Obliteration Wand provides tons of chaos damage and satisfying explosions for extra clear. By corrupting this item you can get a special implicit that grants you a chance to gain power charge on critical strike. Emperor's Vigilance is a core item for this build. It has very high armor and energy shield for our damage scaling, but it also provides Glancing Blows Keystone and some spell block chance. The Covenant gives you a very powerful support gem for your main setup. It also increases your maximum life and helps a bit with intelligence requirements. Use it if you can't get other items needed to reach 24 level of Shield Throw gem. With Skin of the Lords you can easily reach 24 level of your main skill gem, which is very important for damage scaling. It also provides a massive bonus to all your defenses. Ming's Heart gives a lot of extra chaos damage, which you can boost even further by using Noxious Catalyst for 20% quality. In return, it lowers your life and energy shield. You can use 2 of them for maximum damage, but we advise you to use just 1. There are many useful modifiers for this build since we use a lot of auras. Modifiers for Precision Aura are the best damage-wise. You can also find the missing spell suppression chance here. Seething Fury is a very important jewel for our critical strikes. It grants a lot of base critical strike chance and critical strike multiplier for our Spectral Shield Throw. Replica Conqueror's Efficiency is a great way to reduce your mana cost significantly. Additional Rage is also useful if you are using gloves with Searing Exarch implicit for generating rage. Lethal Pride Timeless Jewel can provide a lot of damage if you manage to find a good one, but due to their nature, it is a pretty hard task to accomplish. The most important modifiers here are chances to deal double damage and intimidate on hit. Your rare items are mainly responsible for your survivability. You should aim to have high maximum life modifiers on every piece of equipment. You also need some spell suppression modifiers to reach the cap. Other than that, just look for elemental resistance and chaos or physical damage modifiers. With your rare helmet, you can get a lot of maximum life and elemental resistances. Other than that, you should look for spell suppression or reduction to nearby enemy chaos resistance. You can start this build using just regular rare armor with lots of life, resistances, and some spell suppression until you can afford the better gear. A hunter-influenced modifier that grants critical strike chance for attacks is very good here. Try to get at least 25% movement speed paired with good defensive options on your rare boots. You can also get tailwind on critical strike if you get enough budget for that. On your rare gloves, look mostly for good maximum life and resistances. By using Eldritch currency you can get implicit modifiers that allow you to generate rage with attacks and convert part of your physical damage to chaos damage. Your rare belt should preferably be a Stygian Vice base so you can fit in additional Abyss Jewel. Look for high maximum life, resistances, and attributes. A rare amulet is a very important piece to increasing your damage. Look for modifiers to gem level, critical strike multiplier, and chaos damage. You also need some life and resistances here. Rare rings should have a lot of life, resistances, and attributes. You can also look for attack speed, accuracy rating, or mana cost reductions. Lake of Kalandra can offer some very good rings, but you need to play around their downsides. If you don't have mentioned unique jewels, you can get rare jewels that increase your maximum life, attack speed, critical strike multiplier, or elemental resistances. Flasks are a distinctive feature of any Pathfinder build. They will have a much stronger effect than usually and will be on almost all the time. The most important unique flask for this build is Sin's Rebirth. This amazing flask gives you a lot of evasion rating, blinds nearby enemies, and gives you Unholy Might for a massive damage bonus. Atziri's Promise is yet another source of our extra chaos damage. It also provides some chaos resistances and life leech. As for the remaining magic flasks, we recommend using Quicksilver Flask with movement speed bonus, Sulfur Flask with attack speed increase, and Jade Flask with increased evasion rating. You can roll your magic flasks with Alchemist's Prefix to get a much stronger effect of their bonuses while still maintaining very high uptime on them. Spectral Shield Throw is a ranged projectile attack that uses your own shield to deal damage. It has built-in chain for extra clear potential. Phantasmal alternative quality further boosts this skill's synergy with Energy Shield from the equipped shield. To improve its damage we use supports that increase its physical and chaos damage, as well as critical strike potential. Wither is a stacking debuff that massively increases chaos damage taken by enemies and hinders them for a short duration. To be sure enemies have max stacks at all times, we recommend linking it with Spell Totem and multiple totem supports. They are pretty squishy, so try to cast them at a safe distance. Tornado is a very strong utility skill for any projectile-based build. Hitting Tornado with your shield throw will cause it to deal bonus damage based on the hit from your shield. This damage cannot be modified any further, so we use utility supports like Onslaught and Power Charge on critical strike. With Assassin's Mark applied to them, enemies are more prone to critical strikes. It will also help you generate power charges and restore a decent amount of life and mana on kill. If you get another source of power charges, Sniper Mark will offer more damage. Link it with a mark on hit support so any attack will trigger it on the enemy. Steelskin is a guard skill that absorbs a big part of the damage before it harms you directly. We don't have many armor rating, so Molten Shell is a bad choice here. You can link it to cast when damage taken support, or cast it manually when you anticipate incoming damage. This build uses plenty of auras. Grace gives a lot of evasion rating and helps us scale it to even higher values. Herald of Purity boosts our physical damage significantly and summons minions which can tank some hits for you. Defiance Banner increases our armor and evasion a bit and reduces the enemy's chances to deal critical strike to us. Precision gives a lot of flat accuracy rating and critical strike chance. Try to keep it at a low level for lower mana reservations. Flesh and stone should be used only in the sand stance. It blinds nearby enemies and reduces the damage you take from ranged monsters. You will need to use enlightened support with the most mana reservating auras to get comfortable amounts of mana to use your attacks. Your main movement skill is shield charge. With this attack you can travel long distances very quickly. It scales very well with your attack speed and movement speed. With enough reductions to the costs of non-channeling abilities, you can cast this skill for free. Now let's talk about bandits. Since none of the bandits offer us anything good, the best decision is to kill them all for 2 additional passive skill points. Freeze immunity significantly weakens the usefulness of Magic Flask. For this reason, we recommend using the Soul of the Brine King. This way we will get rid of the problem of freezing and chill, and prevent getting stunlocked. As the minor soul of our Pantheon, it is best to take the Soul of Garukin. Large shocks are very dangerous for builds that focus on avoiding damage instead of reducing it. It is very important to pick up every maximum life passive available on the right side of the passive tree, as they are quite rare there. You also want to collect most spell suppression passives, as they provide very high values compared to the modifiers you can find on items. They are also the only source of spell suppression you can get while leveling up. With Charisma, you should have enough mana reservation efficiency to fit in most of your auras. Point-blank Keystone is essential for your single target. It gives a huge bonus to projectile damage if you are standing close to an enemy. With the Mark's Mastery, you will be able to reliably generate frenzy charges during boss fights. It also gives you a culling strike against marked enemies. Nearby shield passive points are also very strong. With Deflection, you will be able to generate very valuable endurance charges when you successfully block. It will also raise your chances of blocking attacks. The Jewel Socket near Fervor is a very good place for your lethal Pride Jewel, as there are many notables that you will allocate anyway. This is everything you need to know to play this build. We encourage you to try it out. If you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and see you in the next video.